After fleeing the roost, the party makes their way from Waterdeep and flees along the coast towards Baldur's Gate. After a brief stop, they take a smaller boat up the River Cointhar towards the city of Elturel. As the city came into sight, it disappeared in a vortex of hellfire. Narrowly escaping the hellish vortex, the group returns to Baldur's Gate. Once they arrive, they are impressed into service by the local militia, the Flaming Fists, in return for entry into the city. Their first task is to eliminate the cult of the Dead Three, who have taken up residence somewhere in the city. The group investigates the city, taking some time to relax. They go out drinking and partying. Durin, feeling quite hungover the next day, remains behind at the inn as the rest of the party searches the city for any relevant information. Upon their return, the party finds that Durin is missing. Only a note remains hinting at his whereabouts. Following the note hints to a mysterious bathhouse. They discover a secret passage leading underground. After some time spent delving into the depths of this dark dungeon, they eventually come upon a makeshift fighting pit. At its center stands Durin, blinded and mocked as he tries to fight the cultists and beasts surrounding him. Helping their friend, they continue on, fighting through cultists and monsters. Eventually they come to a dark room containing a powerful demon. With no way out, the party fights. The fight is intense, with almost every member being grievously wounded and almost falling in this dark pit. They are eventually victorious, taking a moment to rest. The party makes a vow to each other. In the event one of the party is to die, the others will make sure their personal quests will be completed. Helio asks that the Black Feathers be destroyed. Cersei asks that her father be dealt with. Roscoe asks that they find his mentor and pass on his story. And Durin asks they free his brother from slavery. With their vow made and emboldened for the journey ahead, they eventually reach the dungeon's end, finding a large stash of treasure. Carrying it out of the dungeon, they are stopped by a group wearing strange masks and carrying wicked weapons. Sensing the danger these mysterious strangers hold, the party hands over the treasures they have acquired so the masked cultists will leave. The only clue to their identities are the strange seven-pointed masks they wear. Returning to their Flaming Fist contact, they inform him of their success, providing proof of the cult's destruction in Baldur's Gate. The sergeant released them from their contract, and here Roscoe created the name that would echo in myth and legend for centuries to come. The Guardians of the Gate. With Durin blinded, and said blindness being incurable by any magic available, Durin leaves the Guardians to find his old master in the Blood Pit. Before leaving the Flaming Fist, they are informed that should they wish, one of the Duchesses of Baldur's Gate was under suspicion of demon worship and may have been tied to the cult activity under the city. The Guardians decide to investigate, seeking to end the cult's activity and maybe find a cure for Durin's blindness. Entering the Duchess's manor, they are spotted by a blacksmith. Roscoe leapt to action and dispatched the man without hesitation. This action would have consequences beyond his wildest expectations. Entering the estate, they come across a mysterious locked puzzle box and the Duchess's son, who they see making a deal with an imp, a lower-level devil. Taking the puzzle box after interrogating the Duchess's son, they discover that there is devil summoning and worship occurring beneath their feet in the manor's basement. Leaving the manor to find the cellar's entrance, they are confronted by the manor's guards. Roscoe uses his magical prowess to hypnotize and stun the guards. Fighting their way through the basement, they eventually reach the final summoning chamber. Here they encounter the results of the summoning, the demon prince Ramriel. The Guardians fought the demon valiantly, but the battle was beyond their strength. Helio sent magically empowered strikes into the demon and flung spells of great power, but was the first to fall. Roscoe used every part of his inspiring music and his speedy rapier, but fell soon after. All that remained was the quick and quiet Cersei, using every bit of her cunning, her skill, and her grit, was able to defeat the demon. His bleeding and dismembered corpse laughed as his soul is banished to Avernus. Falling to her knees, bloodied and broken at the sides of Roscoe and Helio, Cersei looked up to see Durin running toward her as she fell unconscious herself. Soon after, the party is healed at the nearby church of Lemnos. After a night's rest to recover the group's spirits, Helio, Cersei, and Durin go shopping in town as Roscoe goes looking for the blacksmith's family so he can make amends. After arriving, he passes on his condolences, offering money to hopefully help in some small way. Before he can hear the response, the Black Feathers spring a trap, having followed him out of the city to ambush him away from prying eyes. Now trapped, and with the family's life in danger, Roscoe lures the rest of the Guardians to the farmhouse. The Guardians arrive and battle the Black Feathers present. Beating them back, the last of them flee, but not before kidnapping the two children of the blacksmith and murdering his wife. The group debates for a time on what their priority should be, the city of Elturel, or the Black Feathers and the kidnapped children. Elturel takes the priority, a brutal calculus. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. They learn of a wizard who can help them get to Avernus, named Traxagor. After meeting with him, they are teleported into the center of the now ruined city, its crumbling infrastructure being slowly dragged down into the churning river Styx, slowly and inevitably. Alongside the golden Hollyphant named Lulu, the Guardians arrive in Elturel. The city of Elturel now floats above the river Styx on the fiery plain of hell called Avernus. The city floats above the necrotic river, slowly being dragged to its destruction by massive chains of infernal iron. Parts of the city's foundation are already crumbling away, leaving cratered chunks missing and the ground beneath their feet unstable. With the city crumbling, they head to its center. It's the place where rescue efforts would be concentrated. With haste, they begin moving inward, clearing out bands of devils and demons as they go. They also help any civilians they can. Eventually, a band of civilians trails behind the Guardians as they move through the city, reaching the city's center, a large building called the White Chapel. Entering the chapel, they meet a cleric of Ilmater, the god of martyrs, named Castellon. He offers his help for the sake of the city. The survivors inform the Guardians that Ulder Ravengard, the ruling baron of Baldur's Gate, is in the city, captured by the same devils trying to drown it. A nearby graveyard holds a temple called the Hall of Heroes. Ulder is somewhere inside. The Guardians make haste and arrive to find a horde of the undead guarding the main tomb's entrance. Finding their way to the entrance, they open the doors, just as the massive horde rises to its feet once again. Durin, noticing this obvious problem, slams the doors closed from the outside and creates a barrier to guard it. Assuring them he will be fine, he urges them on as he fights off the ever-replenishing horde. Now inside the tomb, they see the corruption, the masses of flesh covering the statues of great heroes. Demons crawled from the fleshy growths, and the Guardians had to now battle their way down. After battling the forces of Avernus all the way to the tomb's lowest level, they find the source of the corruption. A twisted ritual using a powerful artifact, the Helm of Torm, and a person of great and ancient bloodlines and power. That man is Ulder Ravengard. Together, the Guardians free Ulder by fighting another small piece of the demon prince Ramriel. With the ritual backfiring through the tomb, the chunk of the city the tomb rests upon begins to crack and crumble apart. As the very walls and floor crumble around them, showing great athletic and acrobatic skill, the Guardians make it outside. Castellon stumbles and falls through a hole in the city's ground, catching himself at its bottom. Helio leaps down to rescue him. After some struggle, the two decide trying to glide to the shores of the Styx are their best option. Cersei reaches the edge of the crumbling graveyard and just misses it. As she falls, seemingly to her death, a familiar face appears to rescue her. Bayron Rockenstone, now a resurrected paladin of Tyr, appears to rescue the group and assist the survivors in the city. Returning to the chapel, they see Durin safely returned. Helio and Castellon realize that they need a way back up to the city and decide to start climbing one of the massive chains pulling it down into the Styx. Castellon begins to climb while Helio flies himself up. On the way, Helio comes face to face with a massive infernal dragon. Activating the Blade Trance and a spell of haste, Helio draws the dragon into an epic chase. His haste spell running out, Helio made a desperate gamble and fled into the city's sewer system. The group reunites at Whitechapel, and Ulder reveals to them the best way out of the Nine Hells. They must find the Sword of Zariel and use it to free the city from the clutches of Avernus. Dealing with the dragon, who was now patrolling the city, was their first priority. The Guardians gathered weapons and made some with the supplies around. After preparing as best they could, Helio had another idea. Try making a deal with the beast first, and if negotiations devolve, kill it. They ended up making a deal with the dragon. His name revealed to be Thordak, promising him they would kill the owner of his infernal contract, the demon prince Ramriel. With a goal in mind, the Guardians now make their way into Avernus' fiery hellscape, looking to find the sword in its inhospitable and ever-changing landscape. With their goal of claiming the Sword of Zariel now clear, the Guardians first sought out the fortress of Mad Maggie, a demonic witch with access to hell vehicles. These vehicles would make travelling the hellish plane far easier. While inside her fortress, they also unlocked some of Lulu the Hollyphant's memories, revealing she is in fact one of Zariel's companions from her days before she fell. Her days as an archangel. After acquiring a hell vehicle, the Guardians moved quickly across Avernus, eventually running into a travelling market of sorts. There they encountered a devil who offered them a job, the payment for which would be a swift teleport to the sword's location. The job was simple. Find and bring back to him a nearby artifact of some power. Travelling to the described location, they found a temple of strange design. The walls and doors were covered with protective wards and sigils, barring access to the devilish and demonic. Deciding the artifact is too powerful and evil to be allowed to leave the temple, they decide to move toward the sword their own way. Lulu speaks of a legendary oracle who should be able to assist them in finding the sword's location. Through many long and convoluted fetch quests, the oracle agrees to help them. He first tests them, putting them against their pasts, their fears, and their regrets. After conquering their tests, they are given a handwritten note of introduction to the Forge Devil, Bel. After this, Roscoe would fall prey to arrogance. His attempt to modify the Oracle's memory would backfire, and the Oracle would curse him. This curse would eventually lead to his death. The Guardians carried on, arriving at the active volcano containing the forges of Bel. Descending deep into the volcano's cavernous caldera, they find Bel sitting astride his molten throne. Seeing their note, Bel grants them their request, on one condition. They are asked to retrieve a crate for him from a nearby crashed fortress. The Guardians arrive and enter the fortress, with ease, and retrieve the armoured crate. Curious about its contents, they open the crate to reveal 9 adamantine rods. These are the keys to breaking the infernal spell binding Elturel to Avernus. Returning to Bel with the rods, he offers to send them to Whitechapel if they promise to use them to free the city and return it to the mortal plane. The Guardians agree to his terms, sending a message to Ulder Ravengard with the rods. Bel then informs them of the sword's location, the impenetrable mountain called the Scab. The guards reach the Scab and enter it with Lulu's help. Once inside, they find the demon prince Ramriel. Most of his soul is trapped here. The fragments they fought before, only small parts of his power. With their goal guarded by him, and remembering their agreement with Thordak, their battle begins. Having grown considerably in strength since their last encounter with the demon, he falls for the last time. Durin takes the blade, the fortress crumbling around them as they flee. With the portal in sight, and all through it bar Durin, the fortress walls collapse around him. Using all his remaining strength, Durin keeps up the barrier, watching as Castellon retrieves the blade, telling him to protect his friends. Durin watches as the portal closes. Having acquired the sword at great cost, the Guardians meet a grateful Thordak outside the Scab. Here they are met with a choice. Do as Durin requested and attempt to redeem Zariel, returning the sword to her so that she might become an archangel again. Or use the sword themselves, taking its power and using it to kill Zariel. The Guardians honour their fallen friend and decide redemption is their preferred choice. Thordak flies them to Elturel, mentioning Zariel is already on her way there, intent on claiming the souls there to rebuild her depleted forces. The Guardians arrive just as the fortress approaches. Helio flies the rods up to the binding spell one at a time as the rest of the Guardians confront Zariel. With Zariel's sword in hand, Castellon spoke to her, learning her reasons, her justifications. He responds in kind, offering her the sword, offering her redemption. She hesitates for a moment, but his words ring true. She takes the blade and begs forgiveness as it burns her, her demonic form eventually burning away to reveal her resplendent angelic form. Helio slots the final rod into the spell, releasing the bound Planetar. Zariel flies past the chains binding Elturel as the Planetar begins lifting the city up towards Avernus' red sky. The chains being cut by Zariel, and the city carried on the backs of Celestials, it is returned to its rightful place in Faerun. With fond farewells, Zariel and Lulu return to the Celestial Plane. The Guardians are hailed as heroes of the realm, and great marble statues are commissioned in their honour. A statue of Durin is also commissioned. With Elturel saved and returned, this act would begin the Guardians' tale, their names and deeds echoing in eternity. Though little did they know, this was only the beginning.